I'm Babla Jonathan, and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the governor of the littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon dismisses fake information that had been circulating indicating that 400 confirmed cases of coronavirus were recorded at the Douala International Airport. The governor spoke to the press today and said that is simply fake news, and the land, sea and air borders of the Republic of Cameroon have been shut down. It is one of 13 measures taken by the government of the Republic of Cameroon to check the spread of the coronavirus. The governor of the littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, Samuel Dedone Vahadiboa, said no confirmed case of coronavirus has been recorded within his area of command, and he dismissed information that had been circulating indicating that 400 confirmed cases of the coronavirus were recorded at the Douala International Airport as some Cameroonians returning home arrived yesterday from France and Brussels, and he said that information, which has been indicating that 400 cases of confirmed coronavirus cases were recorded, is simply fake news. And he said that all the persons who arrived yesterday have been quarantined and are being followed up. Details from me, Armstrong Sander.
Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, on high alert following measures announced by the governments of the Republic of Cameroon to curb the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
The decisions taken by the Prime Minister are implemented since yesterday night here in Douala. And we have welcomed people who have traveled by Air France and SN Brussels.
The governor of the littoral region of Cameroon, Samuel Dedone Vahadiboa, denies rumors that 400 confirmed COVID-19 cases have been registered in the city of Douala.
Around 6:30 to 7 p.m., we received the messages in WhatsApp saying that 400 people have been declared with the virus just before the landing of the first airplane at 7:30. We are all surprised. But let me tell you that Air France brought us 158 passengers and SN Brussels 103 passengers. We have conveyed all those people to the hotels, and some were hungry, we can understand. But it is just a measure to be taken and to have a kind of follow-up of all those who have traveled from abroad to Cameroon.
The chief of the littoral region further says appropriate measures have been taken vis-a-vis those who landed in the city of Douala through Air France and SN Brussels.
We are going to follow them after the hotel. They have to go in families. We are asking the parents to be very vigilant, because it's not a question of joke. The death is around us. We have to fight against this coronavirus. And I'm appealing the population of the littoral region as a whole to be aware of all the measures that the head of state and the head of government has taken to protect all the populations. That's why I can assure you that the situation is on a good control. The first cleaning services that have been made to the airport doesn't indicate a case that we have to be afraid of.
The over 261 passengers who landed in the city of Douala Tuesday, March 17, 2020, will remain quarantined for at least 15 days. The governor of the littoral region, Samuel Jodone Ivaha, further challenged them to be more responsible in their attitude and respect measures taken by the government of Cameroon for the public to be safe.
And after 10 confirmed cases of the COVID-19 were declared in the Republic of Cameroon by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi, the government is stepping up preventive measures to check the spread of the coronavirus. And the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Janguti, announced a series of 13 measures yesterday with regards to the coronavirus management in the Republic of Cameroon. And as from today, Cameroon's land, air, sea borders have been closed. Consequently, all passenger flights from abroad have been suspended with the exception of cargo flights and vessels transporting consumer products and essential goods and materials whose stopover times will be limited and supervised. Cameroonians who wish to come back home should contact all diplomatic representations of the country. And the issuance of entry visas to Cameroon at the various airports have equally been suspended. All public and private training establishments of the various levels of education from nursery schools to higher education, including vocational training centers and professional schools, will remain closed as from today, and gatherings of more than 50 persons is now prohibited in the Republic of Cameroon. And the school and university competitions like the FINASCO and university games are all postponed, and all public and private training establishments of the various levels, as I indicated earlier, are now closed under the supervision of administrative authorities. Bars, restaurants, and entertainment spots will equally remain closed systematically from 6 p.m. as from today. They are already closed. They are expected to be closed by now. A system for regulating consumer flows will be set up in markets and shopping centers, and of course urban and interurban travel should only be undertaken in cases of extreme necessity. Drivers of buses, taxi, and motorbikes are urged to avoid overloading. Law enforcement officers will ensure they comply, and private health facilities, hotels, and other lodging facilities, vehicles, and specific equipment necessary for the implementation of the COVID-19 pandemic response plan in Cameroon may be requisitioned as required by competent authorities. That is already being done in the towns of Douala and Yaoundé. Some passengers who arrived yesterday, Cameroonians from France and Brussels, were taken to some hotels where they are put under a 14-day quarantine period, and missions abroad of members of government and public and para-public sector employees are hereby suspended. The public is urged to strictly observe the hygiene measures recommended by the World Health Organization, including regular hand washing with soap, avoiding close contacts such as shaking of hands or hugging, and of course covering the mouth with sneezing. These are the measures announced yesterday by Cameroon's Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph Janguti, and these measures are intended to prevent the further spreading of the coronavirus across the country. So far, 10 coronavirus cases have been confirmed in the Republic of Cameroon, and some of the Cameroonians who arrived yesterday from the diaspora complaining of poor treatment by Cameroonian authorities. Some of them spoke to us in Yaoundé. Take a listen to one of them who spoke to Gizogo.
Unfortunate that we arrived yesterday at exactly 8:30 p.m. and from 8:30 p.m. we had to leave the airport at about 1 o'clock. And the problem is that we had no information. Nobody wanted to inform us in any way. We started getting angry, and on the point that they just gave us one bus that was transport people from the airport to the hotels and so on and so forth. We are all Cameroonians. We are ready to make some sacrifices, but the problem is that the authorities has to also inform us on what we are doing. We don't know if we'll be here for 14 days. We don't know if we'll be here for 1 month and so on. Most of us left our different diaspora countries. Coming here is just because we knew that we were in the first place we are not sick, and we are coming to pass our times with our families. We have some brothers here who came to bury their loved ones who died. I'm a Cameroonian, and the first thing is that I want to be here always. I can't stay in France and then waiting for 30 days before continuing job. My family is here. I want to pass my time with my family, and then they give us a hotel. I got some brothers who sent me some images of their own hotels. They were in things like Auberge and all those other things which were very dirty and so on. You cannot be living somewhere and they will come here. They say that they want to protect us from coronavirus. They put us in buses as if we are all luggages. Then they take us to hotels. The authorities have to understand that the minimum is information. It's information. We have even got insults from people passing by the road. You people go back with your coronavirus and so on. I'm a Cameroonian, and if they want me to go back with my coronavirus, I don't know which one they're talking about. So that's the problem. We want the authorities to inform us and to make us know exactly what's happening. The worst of all is that since yesterday, we came yesterday, they didn't even give us water to drink. We're here.
That is one of the Cameroonians who came in yesterday from France complaining of poor treatment from Cameroonian authorities. And many Cameroonians have been rushing to the markets to purchase some goods in order to to be consuming during the periods which they are banned to move around. Notably to go into the markets, and they are doing so after the measures taken by the government yesterday restricting the gathering of persons. More than 50 persons are not expected to gather at a given spot, not even in the markets. Smanjikan Gabriel reports.
The main roads passing in front of the Bonamusadi market was tight this Wednesday as people rushed to buy food to stock at home. Other markets like Sandanga and that of Double Bal were filled to capacity. This comes after the decision taken by the government to curb the rate of the spread of coronavirus. Within the market, most of those who came shopping bought basic foodstuffs like rice, gari and spaghetti alongside the ingredients to prepare them. But they complain about the price hike. It's just like we are close to end of year festivities. But it is just fear. We were not prepared for anything. Everything is now expensive. What you bought yesterday at 100, today is 300 francs. A kilo of rice was 1,200 francs and now is 1,300 francs. I came to do shopping to stock at home because I don't know when this epidemic will end. It was an unusual crowd that was recorded at the 3 markets we visited. Since morning, the market is tight because of the fear of coronavirus. They are here buying basic foodstuffs to stock at home. The prices are not yet up. While some sellers say things are good for them, others are saying they are facing difficult times. People are now staying away from the market because they believe it is in the market they contract the virus. So we are hoping that government will put in some measures for us to have our daily bread. Along the roads as well as within the market, one could spot a few persons with their face mask. We wash our hands with water as required and cough while hiding our mouth. Many people are praying that with the measures taken by the government, the spread of coronavirus will be terminated in Cameroon.
Here in the country's economic capital, Douala, reporters visited some of the hotels hosting the 158 passengers of Air France who arrived yesterday and the 103 passengers of Brussels Airline who arrived in the country yesterday through the Douala International Airport. And in the report coming up next, they tell us what they saw and what they heard. Immaculate Fogwe.
Upon the arrival of the 261 passengers who came in from France, strict measures have been put in place for them to be quarantined in hotels. While on a tour in their different lodging facilities here in Douala, we made our first stop at Hotel Lumiere. While there, we were not allowed to take images, so we had to secretly get them. Passengers have not been quarantined. They are all seated on the stairs of the hotel. No medical personnel or any ambulance could be seen in front of the hotel. Our next stop was at the Adamawa Hotel. Upon our arrival, everything was calm. We were equally denied access to images, so we still had to secretly get our images. Those managing the hotel say sanitary measures had not been put in place by the government, reason why they refused to lodge any of the passengers. They equally advanced the fact that they had not been earlier informed by the government. While at Savannah Hotel, where we were equally not allowed to take images, secrecy had to still step in. While there, we noticed that all of the passengers have been quarantined with strict security measures put in place. An ambulance could equally be seen on the site. The two women standing in front of the hotel have been denied access to their family members. Our final stop was at Hotel Bouzejoux. No ambulance could be seen, but for the presence of security officers.
Other African countries have equally taken measures to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Europe and America as well are fighting the coronavirus while the cases are increasing every day around the world. But in China, the virus seems to have been contained and the number of cases are dropping, and medical officials, so experts, are intensifying their search for a vaccine that will end the coronavirus. Notably in the United States of America, a lady by name Jennifer Haller becomes the first woman to get an experimented coronavirus vaccine tested on her, and this comes after the United States of America saw all its 50 states recording cases of the coronavirus. Let's listen to Jennifer Haller in this extract.
40 million euro,
really excited about that.
approximately 9 billion
It was easy.
social, economic,
it was
and
just
handicraft.
like a flu shot, or I had a flu shot a couple months ago. It was very similar to that.
An extract of Jennifer Haller, who is the first woman to be to experiment a coronavirus vaccine, and of course this comes after all the 50 states of the United States of America recorded cases of the coronavirus, and medical experts in the country are stepping up research for a coronavirus vaccine. Take a listen. We'll be coming back to that in our subsequent news editions. Coming up next, Talking Point. Thanks for joining us in Talking Points. We are receiving to my right a civil society leader, the president of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, Cameroon, and the coordinator of the organization on the African continent, Jacqueline Ndokmo. You're welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good evening and good evening to all Equinoxe Tv viewers.
Thanks for joining us. And to my left, we have a school proprietor, Ndumu Ruben, who is the proprietor of a school in Bonaberi, and he is joining us tonight. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jonathan, and it's my pleasure to be here this evening.
Your school is closed.
Yeah, Mr. Jonathan, my school, and not only my school, The entire schools in the Republic has been shut down since this morning, and I want to think that it is a measure that we welcome it, because in the field of education, we believe that health first. And I think the government has taken a measure that we have been long awaiting. Although, to my own point, it's a little bit late, but it's better to be late than never.
All right, we'll talk more about the impact of the measure on schools across the country that have been simply shut down. First, you listen to some Cameroonians coming in from the diaspora complaining about poor treatment by Cameroonian authorities. Many of the people said to be lodging in places that are not very good in terms of hygiene.
Yes, maybe I will start by saying that this pandemic is a matter of serious concern, not only for us in Cameroon, but for the world at large. And I was able to listen to these Cameroonians, and I hope they are not telling the truth, because it's a problem. We are talking about hygiene being one of the ways we should fight this disease. At the same time, if there are issues with hygiene, then there is a problem. I think it's very important to communicate so that they know what they are expecting to meet or to have as facilities. So I think that I really hope that more measures are taken to enable they have access to clean facilities and hygienic facilities, because this is one of the first steps to fight this pandemic.
And one of the hotels hosting the persons who came in yesterday from France and Brussels, we saw images of some of them on the stairways, not actually quarantined, and this is because they are refusing to.
I would like to say that maybe the measures taken by the Prime Minister, by the government, for me are commendable. But in the reality, there are three issues for me, from my perspective. I can see maybe how timely these measures are they taken, and also about implementation. How effective can implementation be? This is one of the reasons why we have this issue. Were they prepared? Were the hotel prepared? I heard one hotel complaining that they weren't expecting people. So I think maybe we are just caught in this very serious battle, and we really need to take measures. My suggestion is that there should be as much communication as possible. And from what I saw, I don't think that these people are quarantined, because they are sitting outside. So they should be. That's why I'm saying that the measures are okay, but now how do we ensure that we implement them properly?
And some of them are sitting outside because they are complaining that the rooms given to them are either dirty or have not been properly cleaned up and so on. But in times of crisis, in this kind of context, should we be looking for luxury? Should we be looking for what is good, what is nice, and so on?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that my issue is just communication. If they are going to this place, they should know that they are going to this place, and it's not about the luxury. But talking about their perspective of these people, it's not about luxury anymore. It's a crisis, and in time of crisis, you don't choose, you don't select, you make priority your safety. You should try and be as safe as possible. Of course, it's very important also to take care of their hygiene. What if in these conditions they come out more sick than before? So that's I'm just wondering whether measures were taken before with the hotel management to ensure that everything is done properly. But I just pray and I wish that there should be more communication, because when there is enough communication, it like make people to know what they are expecting, and then it's very difficult to have some behavior like these ones.
Right. Some of the people are complaining about the security measures that have been put in place. Their relatives who have been denied access to them, and the fact that they are kept in a place where they are not allowed to move around freely, and they're going to be there for a 14-day quarantine period. And the government is doing this in order to prevent this further spreading of the disease and so on. Because if their relatives actually come and visit them, they could pick up the virus if at all one of them has contracted the virus, and then they go spreading it in the quarter.
Yeah, Mr. Babila Jonathan, I want to think that at this particular moment we are talking about pandemic, and pandemic is something that is very, very dangerous, something that spread at the speed of light, as I may say. And if the government have restricted, it's not only a Cameroon government, it's all over. And if we have been asked to be quarantined, I want to believe that our family members should stay behind for their own security, for their own safety, because it is no longer political differences here. It is an issue of health. And if one person can bring in the disease and we make the least out of it, within the shortest possible time, the entire population is going to be infected with this deadly virus. So I want to think that what the government just need to do to my own best of information is that they should actually go into more what we call communication, as Madam Raleigh said there. What I see going on around us here is not the best. When I compare to what is going on in France, going on in China, going on in America, there is minute by minute updates about the situation of the virus in the country. And I want to believe that.
But the Minister of Public Health has been giving updates on the number of cases.
I have not refused that. It is not only by tweeting. We are talking as we don't know our own country. Let us believe that those who are in the suburb, how do they get about to know this information? Tweeting is not that information. There should be a lot of sensitization about this particular virus, even to the people in the rural areas. And one other thing I want to say here is that if I look at the structure today where they are giving out 13 measures, the most important thing there is the follow-up to these measures, the implementation. Because what I realize is that sometimes they just go and vividly come out with 13 measures and there's no follow-up. At the end of the day, the virus keeps on spreading.
All right. Now, talking about the security measures, some of the people who have been put under quarantine seem not to be understanding why they are seeing police officers around, and they are not seeing health officials. They are not seeing anybody coming from the Ministry of Public Health, like the young man, the diaspora who spoke in Yaoundé. Is it understandable that security people should be around? Because they're thinking that the presence of security persons is making them to look like criminals.
I don't think so. He rightly indicated that it has to do about communication. And what happened at the airport yesterday? You talk about the minister giving information, whether tweeting or he has been really communicating. But this is happening at the level of the region. It's not at the national level anymore. So in each region, there should be proper communication mechanism. So I'm not sure. So imagine those people, it was a shock for them. They weren't expected that. Were they informed in the plane? So that's why maybe I can understand having the police there for their security. I don't think it's because they are criminal. Of course, each time you see police, you think that they are criminal. No, I think that it's a shock. And you can testify with their family members coming around to see them. If you don't have these measures, maybe they can force and get into contact, and one never know what will happen next. So maybe it's a bit frustrating. But as they hardly put it,
some of them even threatening to go away, to leave the quarantine zone,
yes,
and go back to their families. So
yes, my producer said it's a pandemic, and it's not a joke, and we should be very careful. Because we don't know. It's not written in someone's face. It's very important for each and everyone to take the bull by the horn and play his own role. So we are not putting it in quarantine because it's not a prison. No, it's because it's a health issue. It's for his own safety. So I think that there should be increased sensitization, and that is why it's not about the Minister of Health. All the ministry, at the regional level, at divisional level, everyone should feel concerned. So my appeal for those people is to take it easy. This is something beyond everyone's control, but it's very important at the same time, because we saw that the first cases that we had in Cameroon came from those people who are coming abroad. So it's very important that at least at this point in time, measures are taken to reduce the spreading of the virus.
And the borders have been shut down. No flights coming in. No flights going out except for cargo planes bringing in some important material and so on.
As the director said, these are good measures, but maybe a bit late, because we were able to see that some people came into Cameroon and were able to infect others. We don't know how many people they were in contact with, so it's very difficult to trace. So we might be able to have more cases because we should have taken these measures earlier. But as he said, better late than never. At the same time, I want to take the opportunity to say that it's about implementation and it's also about policy. You know, the policy level is very important. I was very shocked to see as the minister is struggling to bring these measures. The whole speaker of a national assembly was able to come and get into the no, it's not okay, because he says he's a high level official and people are looking up to him to show the example. So at the same time that the minister is talking about people being into quarantine, people are like shocked. How is it going to, what is it going to tell the children? Because they saw the speaker himself not obeying. So we should be very careful. It's about a pandemic. It's not about title. It's not about our position. It should be very clear. If not, the implementation will not be easy because the minister will be speaking and because of the some position. It's not about, he said it's not about politics. It's not about politics. It's about health. And it's not written. So we should be very careful from different. So I welcome even the measures of closing, even though they came a bit late, but better late than never. We can, with this measure, we might be able to save the spreading of the virus.
And one of the measures that is entering into the context of fight against that goes in line with urban disorder, which has been a very difficult thing to fight in big cities like Yaoundé and Douala, is that which concerns the closure of beer parlors and restaurants and other places as from 6 p.m. It's been very difficult for public authorities to fight urban disorder, to close some of these bars that are at unauthorized places, to close businesses that are at places where they are not supposed to be. And now these bars and other places of entertainment are expected to close at 6. Is that going to be effective?
Yeah, Mr. Babila, going to be effective depends on the measure, on the follow-up by the state. When I talk about the state, there are those that have the means to implement any policy that they take. Okay. What I want to indicate here very keenly is that the measures that have been taken here, I'm afraid, because if I look at just from Bonaberi that I live, we are so addicted to alcohol that when issues like this come up, we don't take it seriously. And it is the place of the media, I want to beg your pardon, the media as a whole, to actually take time and talk to the population, because it's like the population can listen to the media more than even the politicians. This is an issue that concerns health, as we have already said. And closing bars only at 6 o'clock. What happened about between the hours of 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening? Are they people not still gathering in the bars? Or it doesn't mean that the coronavirus will only spread during the night period. No.
That means so more than 50 persons are prohibited.
Yes, so what I want to say is not even a matter of prohibiting. I want to just believe that this issue should have been just a what we call infinite closure. Mean that there should be no gathering in the bars. People can buy and drink in their houses. It's only around Cameroon that we see people gather and drink, not license.
So the beer parlors should be shut down.
They should be shut down, because those things will spread more. Because when you take 1, 2, 3 alcohol, it is the alcohol now controlling you. Not you controlling the alcohol. So you now realize that you jump from one person to another. It will spread them more than even in schools. Because when students are in school, you can talk, they can listen to you. But when somebody is in the beer parlor, 1, 2, 3 bottles is no longer in the normal senses. So to me, I believe that those bars should have been closed.
Let's talk about the impact of schools, the impact on schools that have been shut down as from today. You are the proprietor of Atlanta Bilingual Comprehensive High School in Bonaberi. How did you welcome this decision?
As I really said, and Madame there has agreed with me, that the first thing that we know in life is, 1, health. When the health is not good, you cannot survive. You cannot even fight. You cannot even stand up. You cannot even, the student will not even go to the school. So I believe that the policy of implementing the shutdown of schools is welcome, including me. And the
Even
impact,
though it's going to have some
it will have an impact for especially a good proprietor like me, because I want to believe that there were still parents owing me so much money as compared to if we did not have this virus and shut down of schools. But that notwithstanding, we have actually taken and put in place mechanism, because by this period, all proprietors, all schools must have carried out a policy in which about 80% of 90% of the program must have been covered by now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ndumu. Ruben, school proprietor, thanks for coming. You'll give over your seat to Chair Walters, who is a teacher, and with him we're going to be talking about the impact of the decision to shut down schools on the academic calendar of the current academic year. And Sylvie, Jacqueline Dogmo, when you look at all these measures and all the efforts that have been put in place by public authorities to contain the coronavirus and the attitude of the population, is there a specific attitude that the people are expected to put up at this particular point in time in order to help the government to contain this virus and save everybody from the coronavirus?
Yes, I think it's very important for each and everyone at different level to play a role. I will take the family level. It's very important that at family level there are discussion, there are information sharing between the parent and with the children, so that they know what is up. This morning I heard that, of course, the minister said it yesterday that the school were going to be closed. But I feel that before the school were closed, it was very important, even for the teachers, for the director to really take the time to explain to the children why are they going back home at this point of time. So I think that it's very important. At different level, the government is doing its best. You can see the communication on the daily basis by the minister, but everyone should do it. I think at different level, whether from the private sector, from the community level, sensitization action should be put in place. And we should try as much as possible not to respect the measures, because if we do respect, we are going to reduce the spreading. But as we are respecting, we should also try to be ambassadors of this the fight against this virus.
All right, Chair Walters, you're a teacher. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babila.
Schools have been shut down. What's going to be the impact on the academic calendar? Are we moving towards a blank school year?
Yes, I just wish to say that schools have been shut down not because of a normal situation. It's a health situation, and it has a lot of impacts. And we don't pray that we should go right up to a year that is not an incomplete year or a blank year, as you call it. I just wish to say that with these impacts that we have, such as we tend to have what we call pregnancy. Children will be pregnant because of idleness. You know, idleness is the devil's kingdom. Many students will also drop at the level of performance if we finally go to school. If you go to school, because most of them will abandon their book and spend most of their time on TV. Apart from spending most of their time on TV, some of the families will even be broken down. What I mean by broken down, separation, because you will find some us men, we always have what we call some children that we keep in the dormitory. Now dormitories are also out, so unexpectedly, as Madam Riley said, unexpectedly, meaning that you don't expect to plan for this child either to go to the left or to the right, but now he has to come back to the home. What becomes of the home? There will be a lot of problems.
What about the examinations?
I just wanted to say that the rate of examination, it will depend now on the rate at which, when we go back to school, how will the proprietors, how will the scheme of work that was supposed for some teachers that were supposed to finish this very year and this very term that they were unable to finish because of the shutdown. So the catch-up classes. So I just wish to say that if teachers and school proprietors and even government could put more measures related to this, we could just say that at the end of it, if it gives 14, 13 or 16 days as we are talking about, we'll have a lot of costs, we'll have a lot of things to do in order to catch up. But what I want to say is that with this, if we are not very careful, the school performance could be dropped, especially since the teachers is at the peak of time that teachers have to spend some time with the students to develop their skills towards examination.
And everything will, however, depend on the what the future holds as far as the coronavirus is concerned.
It depends on
what is going to happen in the days ahead as government tries to contain the virus and so on. But if it continues for a long time, it could be very risky for the academic year.
Yes, if it continues for a very long time, I want to say that it's not going to be only risky, it will be catastrophic. Because we risk having a year, I don't know, a year that students have not attended schools.
That could, and then it will be cancelled.
At the end of the year, normally it's supposed to be cancelled because it will go into another academic year, which the diplomas will take different years.
All right, and so what should be the attitude of students and parents? What should they do at this period in time, during this period when the schools will be closed? How should they be behaving around in the quarters, in the house, and so on?
So I want us to first of all take the first point, which is based on the level of the parents. I pray that let the parents be watchful. Watchful doesn't mean that when they are going to their job site, they should even spend some time and even have what they call home teachers that can even come out and maybe continue with them. And then they also urge the parents to give assignment before leaving home. And also when his parents come back, let them check the assignment whether it is done. And this should be done through motivation. When you motivate the students, tomorrow they will catch up and they will continue within the realm. At the level of the students, I just wish to say that if a student who is a serious student and who is determined to study, this student can make it if he decides to study at home. If he can do what we call relaxation in terms of some social activities such as TV, distractions, visiting, etc., or maybe swimming pools, etc. If they can stop all of this, nothing will happen.
Or reduce the frequency.
Yeah, nothing will happen to their performance generally.
All right.
We know. Before you go, is a student who is clever, a student who is willing to succeed, a student which is determined to succeed will always succeed in every situation that he finds himself.
Right. Sivisa Kilintokmu, you are a member of the civil society leader. Though the civil society in Cameroon today is more or less an enemy to the government, not the state, to the government because of accusations of plans to destabilize the country and so on. What are you people doing at the level of the civil society to help in this fight against the coronavirus?
Coronavirus is new, but for other cases, our role has been always standing by the government to support with community sensitization, with community talks in school at different levels. That's what we have started doing also when coronavirus arrives. I want to say with very clear that civil society is not an enemy to the government. For a smooth running of the society, every actor has a role to play. The private sector, the government, the civil society. We are helping, we are supporting government effort. We are not enemies. Maybe our approach are different, and it's normal. We don't have the same vision. We call spade a spade. Yeah, it's as simple as that, because we think that to have sustainable solutions to crisis, to everything that we are going through, to have a sustainable country, well developed, we really need to tackle the issues and the root causes. But when we do that, sometimes the government may look like we are fighting or we are painting in black, which is not true. We have been working for years, helping children all over Cameroon to have birth certificate. Is that the enemy to the state? I don't think so. We have been going around the country to have educative talk with women on non-violence, on how to avoid hate speech, on using social media for peace for the youth.
Some of the organizations are accused of inflating figures and facts in some of their reports.
No, I want to tell you something.
Destabilize the country with some external partners.
Jonathan, I want to tell you very honestly, we have been conducting since July 2019 an analysis, gender conflict analysis, to understand the root causes of conflict and the impact. Sometimes I can say that it's even more than what we can see. We are not saying it to say that we are painting the Cameroon in black. It's to see how together we can look for proper solutions. So when you say that, even the figures, sometimes the figures are not even true because there are more cases than that sometimes. So saying that this is what happened is not standing against, I don't think so. It's just a way to say that, please, let's come together and look for proper solution, taking into account the reality on the ground.
All right. Chair Walters, you have a last word before we go?
Yes, sir, thank you. I just wish to say that let it choose my students and the students all over Cameroon, wherever they are, let them be determined and everything will be fine. I know that when God is at work, nothing can stop us from succeeding. And success is going to be their portion in Jesus' name.
Thank you for coming. Thanks, Sylvie Jacqueline Dogmo, President of WIF Cameroon and Coordinator of the organization on the African continent.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.